All right, we are live once again with the Think Fitness Life community. My name is Matt Gluckman. We are holding these lives for our $1,500 home gym giveaway. I'll put the link to the contest in the chat below. As always, we will be giving out 500 bonus entries for attending this live. Each code is worth 100 entries, and I'll be giving them out periodically throughout today's lecture. I wanted to start off and just say how much fun I've been having doing these. This is the second to last one before the second to last Sunday live before we select our winner, and it's been really fun to just kind of see the progression of where we take topics, kind of based on the pulse that we're getting from our community. For those of you who have reached out, or those of you who comment or participate in our Facebook group, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Without you guys, we would be talking aimlessly still. And that was really hard in the beginning because when you're trying to make content or a lecture for everyone, you end up talking for no one. So it's really cool to see the progressions of where we've taken things. And today I just wanted to I want to start talking about breathing and moving without pain and strengthening the body in proper posture, proper mechanics. And the first thing with breathing is I just want to say how profound breathing is, because we can be, you're doing 20 to 30 respirations a minute, and we can be performing these breaths in a maladaptive manner. I can be using my neck to breathe, to pull air in, to pull and expand my belly and my rib cage to get that air, get more air flow in each breath. But that can cause anterior tightness and bad posture, right? Because we are forward moving people, and gravity affects that. Eventually we end up standing upright, and then you see older people really hunched over with that kyphotic upper back, and that usually itself leads to poor health and poor mechanics. All right. um, so your breathing can make or break you. You can be using the wrong muscles to pull air in, and over time it kind of keeps pulling you forward into this kyphotic position where we have terrible blood flow. We have hardening of some of the tissue that can make this position impossible to get out of. And that's the classic line of mobility and overall health. When it comes to health, we can even study the blue zones, and the blue zones are the areas of the highest densely populated centenarians, people living to 100, and not just in nursing homes. And a major one is in Italy, and this town in particular, they don't have really roads. It's a farm town, it's an island, and they walk a lot. So just the fact that they are out and about walking, dealing with hills, that's enough to challenge their aerobic system, their heart and lungs, to get stay fit through aging. Now, I think so much we get involved in this hyped up media side of anti-aging or stalling aging, and it's nice and funny when you think of it on like a scientific level. The cells aren't degrading as well as maybe someone who isn't taking care of themselves, but it's so misleading. um, yeah, I don't know, just it's so overpopulated and marketed to fight aging or anti-aging, and in reality it's just doing what your body should be doing. We shouldn't have gotten to a point where we didn't allow it, or we didn't give it stimulus enough to know that it needs to get stronger or respond to different stimuli. Because the idea is that um, So that's what's funny, right? There's a guy addressing Dave's question. They do high quality supplements work. There's a CEO who spends $2 million a year to make himself not age, and yet there are people who are just living fine and dandy in a village, living to 100 easily. Um, let's look up these top 5 blue zones really quick. Okinawa, Japan; Sardinia, Italy; Nicoya, Costa Rica; Icaria, Greece; and Loma Linda, California. And these places aren't places where people are millionaires just spending all their money on anti-aging modalities. And this guy who's doing the $2 million a year supplements, he does things like stem cells being pulled out of a location, recycled in a centrifuge, and then put back in his body. Hyperbaric chambers, access to all of these high quality, highly scientific devices. And we'll see, time will tell, but I don't think he's going to live to 200. I would put all my money on the fact that I don't think he's going to make it to 200 or even to 150. There's been major step functions in our longevity. When we're truly talking about longevity, the lifespan and the quality of living that we have in those later years, we can look at the 2 major points that have changed a big difference in life expectancy on a major level. And those were sewage, when we stopped shitting where we eat, so to speak. Otherwise, it was literally in the streets, and if you had like a cut on your foot, you could get dysentery and die of an infection. And then the next one, ironically enough, was antibiotics. Those are the 2 major step functions in human health and longevity. And beyond that, we haven't really done anything to break the curve. So do high quality supplements work? The jury's out. It depends what your definition of work is. If you're trying to perform, if you're like a endurance athlete or a competitor of some fashion, I can see high quality supplements working in the ability to deliver your best foot forward for that day or help you recover from some of your workouts. But it's funny you mentioned that too, because something that I was going to bring up. Pause really quick. And I'm venturing off from where I wanted to start with breathing, but we'll get back to breathing in a second here. These are the list of highest quality supplements that I use, and they're not even like crazy high quality, except for this one. This is something I've been trying. This company sent it to me called FlexBeam, and this is a near-infrared device that is wearable. It's the only wearable near-infrared device, and it's not something that delivers profound effects right away, but over time, this thing has really helped me fix my shoulder. That's been a reoccurring problem because of poor breathing patterns. And so over time, what this allows me to do basically is all infrared devices actually are the most effective at 10 millimeters. Beyond that, you actually lose the spectrum of light. So this is held to that location, and you wear for like 10, 15 minutes. I do it first thing in the morning, and really I don't really have any other joint problems to address right now. Historically speaking, I would have knee problem because I have Osgood-Schlatter, so where my muscle didn't grow with my bone, and the muscle was still short and would pull the bone forward, and then you have a protrusion of your tibia tuberosity. And then what happens is over time it starts to calcify because my quad muscle wraps over my knee and attaches that tibia tuberosity there. And you can see how that bone has been growth over time. There's really no fix to it, but I basically just have extra mobility to pull in the wrong direction, so I can feel this have pain even after just a 1 day of squatting. And the only surgery is just they would go in, they disconnect the muscle. Why would I do that? It's already connected fine. They'd shave the bone down, extremely painful, and then reattach. So it's pointless. Surgery is not going to be the best solution in the long term. So that's something I've had since I was a kid, that I've had to deal with that chronic pain. And then I think because of that, it made me favor my right side. Or we won't go into the diagnostic side of it. I really urge people not to go into the diagnostic side of it because 80% of eyewitness reports are inaccurate. It's kind of a waste of time to figure out where it all started, but it's great to figure out what you need to do to correct it. So whatever reason, I wasn't driving through my left leg at all, and I'd feel my left hip, my left SI joint back here flare up if I did any like heavy squatting or any heavy deadlifts, and then my right side of my neck. So here I am. You look at the structure. If this is my human body, it's like right knee was hurting, left hip was hurting, right shoulder was hurting, leading to some right neck pain being pulled down. So up the chain, it kind of zigzagged. So to really fix this, I had to correct them all together, but also get to the point where I'm getting rid of the inflammation. So this was a very expensive fix. This is like $500, and I would only recommend it if someone's looking for peak performance, athletic fitness, someone who's looking to just test their limits and see how far they can push their human body. Someone like a Roger Bannister or something, trying to break the 4-minute mile. But this is another one that I've been using recently. My friend just started working with this company, and it's been around for years, and it's an MSM gel. And MSM has been proven loosely to help with joints, pain, and tissue and inflammation. And it's something that we store in our body. So topical, this isn't necessarily the best, but this will be the quickest relief. And if this works, it means you should probably try to take an MSM supplement so that your body's building this up in its storage. You can think of digesting. Our body needs to have precursors of enzymes to help with digestion by the time we're ready to eat. And sometimes we overeat, or our habits are set up in a way that we're not letting our body build up those enzymes. So we eat, our body doesn't know how to digest it, doesn't have the right substrates, and things get blocked up. And we get bloated, and we get sometimes GI pain, and we have trouble digesting foods. So again, this MSM is basically there's 2 or 3 active ingredients. There's like a tree extract, there's like a root extract in here that also helps. But I've used it with some clients, and I've used it a little bit myself when something pops up. Like I squatted on Friday and my knees hurt Saturday morning. I rubbed them on my knees and it went away. I was pretty blown away because it's just a $10 bottle, and I really love solutions that are inexpensive, because how am I going to get this to the people? If this is $500-$600, this isn't going to go to that many people. But for $10 a bottle, this could potentially help a lot of people. Again, this would be for your high performer. This would be like for your retroactive fitness or your lifestyle fitness, because this is going to help you get out of pain and not just cover it up with a Band-Aid. Because there's a lot of times these supplements, the reason why I've been so skeptical about stuff like this, it just has menthol in it. It's just mint, and that cooling effect that kind of makes you think that the pain's going away, but then you go stand up or try to move, and you actually feel that pain again. First promo code today is going to be Move Daily 7, MOVEDAILY 7, 7 days a week. You can see some of the subliminal messaging in my promo code selection. So last thing I want to say about pain is, someone asked this question earlier and I didn't get a chance to ask or answer it for them. How do you notice when pain is something to work through and when to back off? And I like to think of pain as a dashboard light on your car. It's trying to notify you that you're potentially doing damage, but sometimes when you go get that light checked out, it's not that big a deal. It's just a sensor that's popping on and off, and everything's working fine in the system, so you can push through it. Or that tire pressure light might go on, and it might be because you actually are a little bit overinflated because it's super hot that day, and that caused expansion, and that caused your light to flare on. So sometimes, and other times it's like, a blown gasket caused a light to pop on, and you could potentially be overheating your motor and causing like irreparable damage that's going to cost you like $5,000 to fix. So it is important to have that kind of distinguishing piece in your brain. And when it comes to pain, again, that's like that light flaring on your brain, like, hey, we could potentially be doing damage. You need to look into this, and you should totally look into it. I, for one, have had this familiar pain of my shoulder, my neck, and my knees for a better part of 10 years that I can now, I've developed a good way of gauging when I can push through and when I can't. And I think the big piece here is noticing the location of the pain. If it's in the muscle, it's usually a really good sign, because pain in the muscle is usually due to its weakness. It's being pulled from other muscles up and down the chain. Your body is one big pulley system. It's a bunch of sticks and rubber bands being pulled together, and the fact that I have tension pulling in all these different directions gives myself structural integrity. If I have a weak muscle in that chain, it won't be able to deal with the forces of all the other muscles pulling in the different directions, and then that causes the pain. You can think of gum being pulled and stretched out, and in the middle it's thinning out here where I'm pulling it, and that's where the pain's happening. But that's not where the fix is. The fix is the ends where it's being held, not allowing that gum to stretch out equally, which would be your fascia. If it's at the joint, if it's at your knees, if it's at your ankles, if it's at your, central to your lower back, at your spine, then this is probably more structural, and you need to look into that. You don't want to be causing more damage, because you're going to slowly degrade your longevity. You're going to be robbing Paul to pay Peter. You're going to be working out today to feel good about today, but robbing yourself of feeling good tomorrow. That's not what we want. We're greedy here at this channel. So that's a good indicator of being able to tell whether it's something you can address and maybe solve right then and there with some inhibition techniques or an activation technique, or breathing. And that's what's so funny. It comes back to the breathing. I'm going to tie this in a second here. Let's see if there's anything else I want to say about pain. And with the joint pain too, you have to be able to tell if it's a shearing, things that are rubbing against each other that shouldn't be. So you can think like bone on your knee, because you can actually move. If you don't have cartilage between your knee, that's not an indicator of pain or surgery. There have been plenty of times that people go in and they have excruciating pain, and under a scope they have great spacing between the bones, and they still opt for surgery. And there are other times where people have no pain whatsoever and they're bone on bone and they don't need surgery. So pain isn't necessarily the indicator. It's the way that you've trained your body to perform. Because when you exercise or squat, do any type of movement, again, back to that pulley system, you're suspending your joints in space. So how are you doing that? Are you suspending them on top of each other, and then now when you move, you're getting that shearing, and that's going to cause a ton of pain? Or are you able to just suspend the joints in space so that they have a little bit of space between them, so when you do something, you're not putting pressure directly on the bone-on-bone joint? So it comes back to training the right movement patterns. The grass is greener where you water it. So many times people just assume, oh, every time I turn left, I feel pain. Well, you're manifesting that, and you're focusing on that too much. Every time I bend my knee, I feel pain. Really? Because you might be able to. I'm not saying you can. In all cases, that might be the case. But you can try to work your way back, regress that. Okay, so what if I sit down and I just extend my knee? Do I feel pain then? Can I get the pain to go away? Okay, well, maybe I need to do some foam rolling of this lower leg muscle. Maybe this is super tight and is pulling down on my knee. Or maybe I need to foam roll this muscle, my VMO, on the inside of the quad here, because it's pulling on the kneecap. And if I can release those muscles, can I extend without pain? Okay, well, now let me try to stand up. Can I stand up out of a chair without pain? Can I go to a seated position slowly without pain? If I can do those things, then odds are I might be able to recreate my movement patterns to get out of pain when I work out. So it's about regressing to progress. You always got to take a step back to take two forward. So back to breathing mechanics, is that's one of the most kind of primal things for our body to recognize neuromuscular firing and autonomic nervous system control. Again, when we are exercising, we're suspending our joints in space. But that's the same thing we're doing when we're walking. Walking is just a controlled falling. And so much can The number one predictor of injury is previous injury. The number two predictor of injury is imbalances. So if I have a previous injury and no one's talking to me about breathing or body mechanics, and I haven't regressed myself, then odds are I'm going to just lead myself back to down these roads again. And things like cortisone shots, non-steroid anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, they're going to help cover up the issue. You can think of the difference between having pain because there's a rock in my shoe and just taking something to cover up the pain, or removing the rock from the shoe. See, a lot of the solutions for long term, we're trying to remove that rock from the shoe. We're not just trying to make you feel like there's no rock. And the problem with that methodology, or kind of our old ways of just addressing the symptoms rather than the root cause, is I'm still causing the damage. I'm just not aware of it as much. It's like putting a piece of duct tape over that light on your dashboard in your car. It's like, well, I don't see the light anymore, so it's a non-issue. Well, the damage can still be happening, and it might not affect you till years from now, but what good is that solution? So let's give another promo code here. It is Feel Better 247. FEELBETTER 247. 24/7. So, talking about regress movements, we go from we'll cycle it back here. When you're a baby, you go from your back, then your first exercise, your first workouts are tummy time, right? Your first scheduled workouts is your mom rolling you on your stomach and having tummy time, and then you roll over. Then you learn to crawl, so you come to hands and knees. Then you learn to pull yourself up, so you're on your knees. And then you learn to stand up and walk and run and get into a lot of trouble. So when we want to fix ourselves, we need to start on our back. And I love to start being aware of our breathing on our back or on our belly, because you can start to really feel where your air is going. And there is such thing as cellular respiration as well. So you want to think about your whole body breathing. How often is our breath muted, where people are just kind of holding their breath and they don't even realize they're doing it, and they're building tension in their body. And your body's only listening to the stimulus of what's happening. It's going to try to impress you. So if you sit a lot, your body's going to try to improve that position. If you stand a lot, your body's going to improve that position. Again, there's no bad position, just the one you can't get out of. So if your body's so prepared to stand all the time or so prepared to sit all the time that you have trouble going into other positions, that's when it becomes a problem. So if you strengthen your body's ability to have stiffness and not mobile in your diaphragm, then you're already truncating your oxygen transfer in your cardiorespiratory system at each breath. You're getting probably 20% of your capacity at each breath. So being able to lay on your back, lay on your belly, and think of your belly as four chambers, or your breath, having four chambers. It's like lower left cavity in your abdomen, lower right cavity in your abdomen, upper left cavity in your chest, upper right cavity in your chest. And a lot of my problems, for example, in my right side was because I was so right side breathing, and I wasn't really engaging that left oblique, especially my lower left side. It happens because we're kind of wired for that also. Our body has natural asymmetries. Like I said, back to the number one predictor of injury is previous injury. Number two is asymmetries. And we needed room for the heart. So we have 3 lobes of our lung on the right side, only 2 on the left side. And the diaphragm is actually larger on the right side than it is the left side. And even though the heart is central, it's more associated with the left side. And if you cut open the heart from the top, on the right side, that right ventricle is larger than the left ventricle. So this is why we're more anatomically driven neuromuscularly through our right side than our left. Unless you're a left-handed person. If you've learned to do everything with your left side, then you're firing, you're muscle firing that way, and where attention goes, firing flows and connections grow. So you might not have that problem, but most of the time people have trouble finding that left oblique. And that's where we start. A lot of people is just on their side in a modified side plank position. You think of a side plank position, then pull your knees up to your hips, and just being able to breathe in that left chamber and expand that lower left cavity can help reset and get your brain online to expand that whole chamber together. So the four cavities, lower left, lower right, upper right, will make your whole system of expansion and contraction for breathing, pulling air in and cycling it. So imagine basically doing 20 ab repetitions every single day. Most people don't engage their abs properly. They're breathing with their lower back, they're breathing with their neck, and this leads to the problems down the line because they're having what's the word I'm looking for? No, I don't want to go down that route yet. So lay on your back, focus on feeling your belly expand first, and then your chest, and then slowly exhale through your nose. That's going to help with better oxygen absorption. So laying on your back, putting your hands on your belly should rise first, then your chest should rise. You should feel left and right side of both lower and upper, doing like a 5-second inhale and then a 5-second exhale. Doing 10 breaths like that can help reset your nervous system so you start to breathe with proper mechanics again, so you get back to proper muscle firing to hold up your structure. Then move over to your belly, and I want you to just focus on your belly breathing, the lower left and lower right chambers. You're going to do what's called alligator breathing. You're going to be laying on your belly. You're going to have your hands on your forehead on your hands, and you're going to focus on pushing out into your obliques. That's kind of that alligator side, that belly laying on your stomach there. You're pushing into the floor with your expansion, trying to feel the furthest that you can on your left side and the furthest that you can on the right side. Again, just trying to expand that chamber and utilize every square millimeter of that. Doing 10 breaths like that, and then starting to work in different exercises. And if you're doing something like a squat, okay, I want to see what you look like at the bottom of a squat. I want to see what you look like down here. Can you breathe down here? And can you breathe into those four chambers? Odds are you might notice that it's a new feeling to you because you weren't breathing into those chambers before. And most people can't. And most people can't do that. Thus, they can't control the bottom position of the squat. Thus, trying to perform a squat in general is super difficult because their body and brain isn't aware that it can control that position. So if you can control that position, if you can breathe in that position, then your brain learns that it's part of an aerobic process, that it can handle it in an endurance manner and get blood transfer, oxygen transfer, and still do all the things it needs to. Otherwise, it's just purely anaerobic, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because we should get to a point where it's an anaerobic exercise. It works, it taxes my neuromuscular system, but I don't want to make it anaerobic in the improper patterns. So when it comes to exercising, this is why the steps of mobility and warm-up are so critical, because all you're ever trying to do is correct yourself from the way that you live. You're not going to fix yourself all in one day, but if you can get the right mobility, get the right breathing mechanics, get the right control in your exercises, and then exercise and then go about your day after your workout, you're going to come back and you might have to address some of those same things you did yesterday, and that's okay. It's because it's the repetition that gets your body to say, oh, okay, we were never supposed to collapse this lung. We were never supposed to not breathe into our left side. We're supposed to keep that online at all times. And you're drilling that in your nervous system. And then again, you're challenging that baseline. You're stressing that homeostatic level. And then you get what's called an allostatic response, and that's a training effect. So you're always trying to just move correctly. With technique comes progress. I can't stress that enough. Another promo code today, Look Better 88. LOOKBETTER 88. So that pretty much covered up what I wanted to talk about with breathing, the importance of breathing to get out of pain. And I want to come back to the high quality supplements thing really quick. If someone is interested in this infrared device, it is called FlexBeam, and we do have a promo code for it to get $60 off if people are interested. I'm going to work on trying to get a promo code for the Gel Out, but if you go to gelout.com, you can get a little bottle like this for $10. If you're someone who's been in chronic pain and you've tried a lot of different things that haven't helped, really, I urge you to give this a shot. It's really amazing at how quickly you'll feel relief. My friend's been starting to go to trade shows, and I've seen some videos of people who, some amputees or people in their 80s who've had chronic pain their whole life, and nothing's ever worked, and this miraculously works for them. So that's just really great to get people out of pain. Another one is, this is Life Fuel. This is a supplement company that was started by a football player who noticed after all the times that he was supposed to eat in a caloric surplus, he had this GI bloat from eating all this protein and all these processed kind of carbohydrates in the American food system. And so he went over to Italy and he started eating over there and found that it was fine. He started sourcing from 25 different whole food ingredients. He does third-party testing on every single ingredient for bioavailability and purity. So they're well looked after and well researched. And we have a promo code for this called Think Fitness Life 10. And you can go to lifefuel.com and get 10% off of any of their products. But I love them. I wouldn't use it every single day. I don't think you need to do that, because with protein supplements in general, this isn't the most bioavailable form. We should be chewing things. That's when digestion starts. That's when those clocks of enzymes being released starts. So a supplement is like easy come, easy go. It's like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing how much sticks. I think they say about 30% absorption from protein shakes. So what I like to do is if I've had a really killer workout, I'll get one post-workout. Or if I'm super sore the next day, I'll get one then. But I think just lets it go a long way to not do it every single day. This ends up being like $50, $60 after the discount. So it's not that bad compared to what else is on the market. But, I don't want to spend $20, $30 on a cheap protein supplement that's just going to deter my long-term health. Again, I'm not trying to rob Paul to pay Peter. In different buckets, in terms of different channels that we are working on catering to as well, it's like general fitness, just wanting to lose weight, look better, move better a little bit, and build some muscle. Build a little bit of muscle, but look better and move better. That's like your general fitness route. More for beginners or people who don't really have like a specific goal in mind. Then there's athletic fitness. This is improving your performance, athletic development, your strength, your power, your ability to accelerate, decelerate, move in multi-directions, have long-term endurance, the ability to have aerobic power, have those short bursts of 100% of your power, like a fighter or something, or a sprinter, or even a cyclist who has to get to a hill. You have retroactive fitness, which are people who are trying to get back to the way they looked previously when they were in their 20s, or get back to the way they felt when they were in their 20s, get out of pain since that developed later in life. And it's basically like they've been living a certain way, and it brought them down a road that eventually they saw the writing on the wall that they don't want to keep going down this road. Now they're trying to retroactively go back and redirect. And then you have lifestyle fitness. This is people who probably 60, 70 plus, who are really just working out in a more functional manner so that they can get up off of the floor or participate with their grandkids or not have pain when they wake up all the time, or be able to play pickleball with their friends, have endurance to go out on a hot day, maybe not in the 90s, but 70, 80 degrees without feeling like completely bogged down. So that's kind of like the four main channels I really want people to think about. Again, it's general fitness, athletic fitness, retroactive fitness, and lifestyle fitness. In terms of coaching, programming, and the nuances around diet, that's kind of the four major differences that people are going to have. Because with the general fitness person, it's going to be coached way differently than someone who's looking for peak performance and stretch the limits of their capacity. And it's going to look way different from someone who is 70 and maybe hasn't lifted their whole life and just wants to get out of pain. they don't necessarily need to be doing all the same stuff that the athletic performance person is doing. And the retroactive fitness person is going to be working out in a way that will eventually get them back to the general fitness side. But it needs a step down phase to get them out of pain and correcting some of their bad patterns. Because it's like two planes flying, both leaving Boston. One's headed down to LA, one's headed to Seattle. LA's pain free, Seattle has some pain. And you're trying to course correct. You realize, I don't want to go to Seattle anymore. I want to go to LA. Well, it depends on how far you are on that path. We have to kind of heavily do some things to course correct that. No, I do not take nitric oxide, but I do drink like a shot of espresso in the morning. I think that's enough for a vasodilator. I think that's the best benefit of nitric oxide. But correct me if I'm wrong. You might be using that in a different way, Dave. I think a lot of times people using supplements are either going to try to make themselves feel better or trying to improve their performance or results. And the only thing you need is just a sound diet and sleeping well. If they could put anything, all the benefits of one thing into a pill, it would be sleep, because there's just so many profound benefits that we can't get, that we can't substitute. And I'm trying to give you guys the easy solutions here, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Until they figure out a device where I can start to do all the workouts for you and you can just download them to your body, we won't be able to catch up to just some of the primal things that are needed for our body to live and flourish, which is sleep, which is breathing, which is eating. Those are the simple things that you need to control. And again, it's not doing 5,000 things all at once. It's doing those 4 things, or we'll say exercise, eating, sleeping, and breathing. We'll say doing those 4 things 5,000 times, but really doing them like 5 million times appropriately. Maybe the breathing and eating one more so. But another promo code here. How fitting. Longevity Minded. LONGEVITYMINDED. So we have one promo code left. Thank you for everyone for watching today so far. I've had a lot of fun just showcasing kind of the tips and secrets for performing today and living for tomorrow. We went over breathing. We went over different supplemental intervention. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. In terms of performance and longevity, there is a lot of research around heat and cold. We're talking about expansion with heat, opening things up, cycling waste out. We also stimulate something called autophagy, which is like a cellular housekeeping. All this done with like a sauna, an infrared sauna or a dry sauna. And what autophagy does is you already have so many parts of cells floating around your body. You can think of like a dirty house, or like your kid's playroom starts to get kind of dirty when there's more things put in it and they get more toys. And you're basically saying, I'm not giving you anything else until you clean all the stuff up in this room. That's what your body starts to realize that you're doing. You're not putting anything in it. You're stressing it out with heat, and you're expanding things. You're getting better flow. You're getting better cycle of waste out and fresh nutrients in. And your body starts to get rid of not only parts of cells, flushing them out, but it starts to pick away at your dying cells. And this can help be a preventative tool to developing cancers, because the steps to cancer is usually repetitive cell damage, dysplasia, cellular mutations, precancer, and then cancer. So things like autophagy, again, getting to a point where your body handles high stress, can help with recovery, and it can help with longevity. Another piece with the heat is it stimulates stem cell production. And I think you have to do a little bit more looking into the specifics around that. But you can also do it with fasting. I believe it has to be at least a 12 to 16 hour fast for your body to get more stem cell production, and that's going to help internally just have the youngest, most versatile, strong cells at the helm. So autophagy is the housekeeping. It's like spring cleaning, going through and getting things that you don't need anymore, and then stem cell production, getting new things into your house or into your body. You have 30 trillion cells in your body, so you're trying to manage things. You're not trying to delegate and do it all yourself, but you're trying to manage some of these systems that are already there in your body and just stimulate them to do their job. Extreme cold is another one, whether it's ice baths or cryotherapy or just going out in the winter, quite frankly. Your body being able to have to handle extreme heats and extreme cold is your body being able to handle a good level of stress and stimulating it to have that response to bounce back from. Again, that allostasis response, being able to improve your homeostatic level rather than getting worse with age. I don't know enough about the autophagy and stem cell production with cold, but I do know that I live in Utah and I get into negative degree temperature plenty, and I get plenty of stimulus from that. So the benefits of using a sauna are they're going to help you burn calories. They're going to improve your cardiovascular performance. They're going to help you induce a deeper sleep. They can clean your pores. They can flush toxins out of your pores and both your muscles. It can relax muscles and soothe any aches and pains. And it can also help with stress. But the major two that I love to talk about is it's stimulating autophagy and stimulating stem cell production. I would absolutely use a sauna. There's so many benefits that outweigh the costs. So Dave, definitely tap into that sauna. I would say that a lot of people use the sauna post-workout. I don't like that as much because post-workout, you're creating inflammation in the body and you're basically giving, again, 30 trillion cells in your body. We're trying to get all these systems online with each other because you want to make it 1 + 1 = 3, synergy across the board through all these systems versus the sum of their separate parts. So you can think of working out as kind of like giving an opportunity for telling your kids to do something, being like, okay, well, now you guys have something to do. So it's like you're basically telling your body it's time to start cleaning out this inflammation. And if you go right to the sauna, you're truncating your body's ability to do it naturally. So I think using sauna on a separate day, because here's also two little indicators is, and when I say using it on a separate day, using it in a longer duration. If you want to use it post-workout for 10, 15 minutes, go for it. It's going to help switch your brain from sympathetic, fight and flight mode to rest and digest, parasympathetic mode. You want to be in this one sympathetic nervous system for like 5 to 6 hours a week. Those are your 6 workouts a week. And then those other 162 hours in the week, you want to be in rest and digest. That way you're recovering from the work that you did. If you're not recovering from the work that you did, then your workout's useless and you're going to make yourself worse with time. You're going to decondition your body. So you can absolutely use it to switch that brain over, but don't truncate your body's ability to do its natural housekeeping and inflammation cleaning out on its own. That's part of the workout is putting a stimulus for your body to respond to for the next 12 to 36 hours is when you're truly fully recovered from a workout stimulus. I think I covered pretty much everything. Yeah. That was it. If there's any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. I'll give that final promo code here. It is Live Best Life 101. LIVEBEST LIFE 101. So that's our 5 promo codes today. That's worth 500 bonus entry points for our drawing in a week and 2 days from today. And other than that, like I said, there's 4 channels before: general fitness, athletic fitness, retroactive fitness, lifestyle fitness. Start to catalog in your brain what you're looking for, and that can help you dictate what you need to do and what is the best solution in certain situations, because everything just has context. But I'm excited to say that we are almost completing the app for those 4 channels for 4 specific warm-up, work, and cool-down protocols. And I'm going to launch that out to people pretty soon here. At the lowest end, I think it's going to be $50 a month to have access to all your programs, all your nutrition. We'll have like 150 recipes that you can access. You'll be able to coordinate them with your Fitbit watch or your MyFitnessPal app. If you're someone who's tracking your calories, you can just scan the barcode of your meal plan of your recipe on your meal plan, and it can update right to your MyFitnessPal. So it's easy to track and easy for us to monitor. You'll have access right to us, right to our coaching. So it's trying to give personal training in a fashion where instead of just meeting us 1 time a week or 2 times a week, you get to have access to us every single day. So this is how we're trying to work a model that makes sense for coaching people and makes sense for us too. So I'm excited to get that launched here pretty soon. So stay tuned. And other than that, like I said, if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to hang around for a couple more minutes. But make sure you enjoy your rest of your weekend. It is 92 degrees here in Utah. We got up to the lake a couple days ago, and it was just gorgeous. The water was 79 degrees, and it was clear. I actually caught myself a fish. The dog was with us, and it just doesn't get any better than that. Just being out in nature. It's gorgeous out there. The high quality air out there that you're breathing. You can't find it at home. I will also say another little tip that comes to mind is that's really what I try to control in terms of my house. I think so many times we get hyper vigilant about all the toxins that can be potentially around us. Well, they've been around for ages. We've just weakened our ability to fight them off. So let's make a strong defense system so it can deal with toxins. And in terms of controlling the amount of toxins that get in, I have what's called an air doctor. It's a air filter. I highly recommend getting an air filter. Again, the 2 things you can control are the things that you're doing most, and it's breathing and drinking water. So I have an air doctor in my living room for the whole family on this upper floor, and then one in our master bedroom downstairs. And then I also have an iSpring water filter. It's like a 6-stage reverse osmosis remineralizer. I have that installed to the main water line under our sink. So when we pull water, there's a little side faucet. When we drink water, instead of it having I even have a total dissolved solids measure. Out of the faucet, I think it's like 500 parts per million. Out of the fridge filter, it's 300 parts per million. And out of this reverse osmosis remineralizer, it's like 30 to 40 parts per million. And that's right where you want to be. You don't want to be at 0. 0 means that there's no mineral content in it. And when you drink it, it's actually going to take minerals away from your body. And that's what a purified water is. So purified water is better necessarily than having toxins in your system, but it's worse in the fact that it's not actually giving you anything. It's not giving you minerals like electrolytes or other vital minerals for triage theory, the 40 different or 25 different processes our body runs with these micronutrients. So I highly recommend to try to control those 2 things as well, because once you set them up, they're just there in the background. You don't have to hypervigilantly think about and stress about it too much. You can just go about living your best life. And that's the goal of it all. Move daily, feel better, look better, be longevity minded, and live your best life. Kind of recapping all of today's promo codes. And if there are no questions, then I'm glad that I over delivered today. Hopefully gave you guys more than you needed to chew today. But hope everyone's living their best life, leading from the front for their family, and enjoying life. And we'll catch you next time.